Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister and boyfriend the inappropriate thing my brother-in-law said to me? I, 25F, live with my sister, Emily, 27F, her husband Connor, 25M, and their son Owen, 1M, due to a variety of reasons, none of which are relevant to this story. The other night, November 13, 24, my boyfriend Marcus, 26M, came over to hang out and some athletic snuggling ensued. After Marcus had left, I heard the baby crying and ended up in the hallway with Emily and Connor after Owen was put back to sleep. Emily had asked if Marcus was still in my room, and I told her no, he had left. Connor then says, "Thank God, I could hear you downstairs with my noise-canceling headphones on." I was, reasonably, embarrassed that he had heard anything and even more so mortified that he had said that in front of my sister. I apologized and hoped that was the end of it. As Emily goes back downstairs, Connor turns to me and says, "Don't be sorry, now I have something to think about the next time I masturbate." I tried to brush it off, as Connor often makes inappropriate remarks and I have always just ignored him in the past. I jokingly said, "Don't you mean you'll be thinking about Marcus?" And he responded, "No, Marcus is too quiet, I didn't hear him." "I only heard you." Connor then goes back downstairs and I retreat to my bedroom. I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said and how uncomfortable it made me, so I texted Marcus to ask him if I was overreacting. Marcus was absolutely furious. He wanted me to tell Emily, but I was hesitant, as I didn't want to make Emily and Connor fight. I told him I would talk to her in the morning, hoping it would blow over and Marcus would forget about it, but he texted Emily. Emily then came into my room, and I started crying, saying that Connor's comment had bothered me but I didn't want to make it a big deal. Emily said that she would talk to Connor about it in the morning and make him apologize. I told her it didn't matter and it wasn't a big deal, but she insisted that he needed to apologize for it, especially since he has made inappropriate comments before and knows they make me uncomfortable. The next day, November 14, 24, I could tell something was tense between Emily and Connor, but I came home late, so I didn't interact with them much. Right before I went to bed, Emily asked me if Connor had apologized and I told her I hadn't even talked to him, so no. Today, November 15, 24, I heard Connor and Emily arguing downstairs, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. Eventually, Connor storms upstairs and I hear him say, "No, I'm not going to. It's not my fault that none of you can take King joke." I know they were talking about Wednesday night. I knew Emily would be upset, but I didn't know Marcus would be so angry, and I didn't know it would cause this giant fight between Emily and Connor. Am I the a-hole for saying anything at all? Edit, I hear them having sex regularly. It seems like people think the issue is that we were heard, but the issue is what he said about it. They made a baby in this house, Marcus, and I hear them all the time when we're just hanging out here. Also, it's our house. That we, me and my sister, own together, along with our parents. I'm not staying at their house, it's just as much my house as it is theirs. Top comments. He's mad you didn't flirt back. He's mad he got caught. Not the a-hole, but your sister deserves a husband that doesn't want to F her sister. Time to move out? OP replies. Currently in the process of house hunting. I wanted to move out as soon as he moved in, but money is always the issue. Not the a-hole. The comment Connor made was no joke, it is creepy and predatory. You are owed not only an apology but a guarantee that he will get professional help for whatever issues made him think that behavior was even remotely acceptable. Your boyfriend is right to be furious and very concerned over this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for having my cousin thrown out of my wedding for not wearing white? I, 28F, got married 2 weeks ago and I am still getting backlash from what happened, so I'm here to see if I really am in the wrong. My husband and I decided to have a child-free white wedding where the guests are in white. I personally don't like to wear white because I always feel that no matter what I'm doing, something always manages to get me dirty. So, my dress was not white but blue. This all started when I decided who would be in my bridal party. I chose 2 friends from middle school, one from high school, my 16-year-old niece and my cousin. Since I was having a child-free wedding, I didn't want anyone under the age of 18, but my whole family knows my niece is my one exception. When we went to the dress shop to pick out dresses, I informed my bridesmaids they would be in black to match the groomsmen. Everyone was on board with the color, and we found a dress that fit everyone, and the top could be adjusted for comfort. Everything was going great until my cousin asked why my niece was getting the same dress, so I told her she was a bridesmaid. Cousin said she assumed she was there for a flower girl dress since I'm not inviting anyone under 18, and if I needed another bridesmaid her daughter could do it. I told cousin no, and her daughter is a guest. Things got awkward but we were done so we left, and I took my niece out and explained she was a bridesmaid and that wasn't changing. Everything was going great after that until bridal dress shopping. At that point I had done a lot of research to find dress style I liked and who had the color I wanted or could get it. I went to the appointment with my bridesmaids, my parents, and in-laws. Everything was fine but I didn't like anything I picked until my mom found a dress I didn't think I would like but ended up being the one and they could get it in my color. We were all happy until my cousin said something that made me snap. She said that I should pick a dress that made me look prettier and not as fat. I blacked out and said a bunch of things I shouldn't have, then kicked her out of the bridal party and the wedding. A few days later my aunt, who I love and respect, called to ask for my cousin to be invited as a guest. I did feel guilty about the things I said, so I said yes. Fast forward to the wedding and it was my turn to walk out, and the first thing I see out the corner of my eye is gold. My cousin sat in a middle row on the aisle in a gold strapless dress. I wanted to cry but we continued on, and once we were finished, I told my wedding planner to have her kicked out and kept away. A few think she could have stayed but others think she should have followed the dress code. My aunt thinks I could have asked her to leave instead of having security throw her out and embarrass her. Am I the a-hole for throwing my cousin out for wearing gold, not white? Top comments. Everyone sucks here. I personally don't like to wear white. Oh, I have a great idea. Let's force everyone else to wear white if they want the privilege of coming to my wedding. Yeah. That's a bit of logic I can't get my head around. Cousin is an a-hole also. Everyone sucks here. It sounds like she was being deliberately spiteful. However, I would absolutely not attend a wedding that required me to wear white. Your demand of your guests was unreasonable. You are the a-hole for a number of reasons. You hate white and acknowledge that it gets dirty quickly. You should have asked your cousin what happened to the white dress prior to just kicking her out. Very likely that she got a stain on it and had to wear another dress. Also, her wearing something that's not the color you want made you almost cry on your wedding day while walking down the aisle. Priorities were off. Blacked out and said a bunch of things. Yeah, let's call a spade a spade. You lost your temper and probably made nastier comments back to her in front of everyone. She didn't push you to snap. This was her first nasty comment and you lost it immediately. Both of you are TAs here. You then continued to embarrass her by getting security to throw her out instead of asking her to leave or asking a family member to get her to leave/keep her out of your sight. Her not following the dress code wouldn't have gotten her positive reactions or attention. You could have probably just handled this with a snarky remark to her. If you really needed to get it out of your system, then actually enjoy your day. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my in-laws continue to be late for everything? Married 16 years and my in-laws have never been on time for anything. Not just a couple of minutes late, usually 20 to 30 minutes or more, and they don't ever tell us they are going to be late. On Halloween they were supposed to be here at 6:30 to go trick-or-treating. My kids are teens so they already had plans but canceled to spend time with them instead. At 7:15 we called and they said they were 5 minutes away. 22 minutes later, they arrived without any concerns. This inspired a new rule for me. I called it the 5-minute rule. Basically, if you tell me you're gonna be somewhere at a time and aren't, after 5 minutes I will leave. If we are meeting to eat or something, and you're late, we will order and eat without you. We will leave when we finish even if they are just getting there. Tonight they had plans to take my kids out for dinner. They said they'd be here at 7. We talked at 2 p.m. and I reminded them of the new rule. At 7:05 they weren't here and had not called or anything, so I called them. They said they were 10 minutes away. I told them to not bother with it. They tried to ask me to give them another chance since they live an hour away, and I said no way and stuck to it. I feel like they are disrespectful by doing this and that they aren't valuing my time. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. It's one thing if it's a rare occurrence, but their behavior is chronic. Is your spouse on board with this plan? OP replies. My wife takes the "it's just how they are" approach. Many times it only involves me. My wife is a nurse who works the overnight shift, so on Halloween, and even tonight, she's at work and I am dealing with them. Not the a-hole. My stepmom is like this. Late to everything. We adopted our foster son earlier this year and she tried to tell me the judge would wait for her if she was late. I told her we would not wait if they were late, as that is not how court works. OP replies. Props on the adoption. My wife and I took the classes to become foster parents recently. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not doing everything to help my parents afford treatments for my brother? When my brother, 18M, was 4 and I, 16M, was 2, he was diagnosed with a blood cancer. He'd been sick for a little while and our parents thought he had a flu or something, so they didn't get him all the help right away, and because of that guilt they devoted every second to him from that point forward. It was supposed to be until he was cancer-free. But by the time we were 8 and 6 and they had become so used to focusing on him alone. I spent most of my time with an uncle who lived nearby or neighbors when he was undergoing treatment. My uncle didn't like having me nearby and the neighbors were so busy with their own kids that I got pretty used to being ignored and forgotten. So when my brother was back home and I wasn't sent anywhere anymore, I was more used to being alone somewhere and taking care of myself. My relationship with my parents was never a close one, and it's the same with my brother. Both of us feel more like only kids, and he gave me crap before for telling our parents I'd like some of their attention too. They'd always tell me he needed it more and he considered me a drama queen. The last time I said anything, which was like 3 years ago, he said he didn't realize boys could be as dramatic as girls. My brother's cancer come back 5 years ago and it was dealt with early, and he didn't have treatment for very long, and after that he seemed better in all ways. He had more energy, appetite was better, and he was doing stuff he'd never had the energy to do before. About a year ago my mom's parents moved closer to us and they spent time focused on me, which bonded me to them pretty quickly. I spend a lot of time with them now. I also took my focus totally off my parents and wanting their attention. In July my brother's cancer returned again, but it's different this time. I wasn't given much info. Treatments are complicated, I guess, and some other countries have treatments we're not focused on yet, so there's talk of him going to Germany and I think Switzerland, but I could be wrong since I don't get much info. My parents are working more hours to help pay for this. And since then I spend even more time with my grandparents. Sometimes spending the night with them. My lack of presence wasn't noticed until they wanted me to help raise the money and maybe offer to get tested if that's what's needed. They said I could start fundraisers and get a job. I already have one, but my parents never noticed. I told them I wasn't going to help with that and it was for the 3 of them to figure it out. I got yelled at and my grandparents stepped in and said I wasn't responsible for this. My parents were saying it was helping family, my own brother, and how could I consider not doing everything to help? Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. First off, you deserve the same love and attention from your parents. Who are morons not only for ignoring you but expecting you to help pay for treatments. You are a child, not the parent. So it's not on you to do anything of that crap. Second, I don't care what condition your brother has. That doesn't give him the right to treat you badly or act like a spoiled brat. He should have been called on that a long time ago and put in his place. And third, the "he's your brother/your family" card is a load of crap. You don't owe him or anyone else a thing. Both he and your parents are a-holes and need to get over themselves. Just like they need to realize what crappy people they are for doing all of this to you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sell a portion of my father's estate and distribute the money to my brother before my father has died? My father has dementia, no longer lucid at all, and is living in a 24-hour care facility. His doctors say at this stage his life expectancy can be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. He knew this was coming and he set his affairs when he still had a sound mind. He gave me power of attorney and he made me the executor of his estate. The state laws here and the terms of my dad's power of attorney document gives me the power to sell or transfer anything. Effectively, I'm in complete and total control of his estate. I'm the youngest of 4, 2 older brothers and a sister, And there is a large age gap between me and my 3 siblings. I'm 18 years younger than my sister, who is the next youngest. Because of the age difference, we were never close. When my dad told all of us about his estate planning decisions, I could tell my siblings were really apprehensive about how much power my dad gave me, but I told them everything from that point our dad's estate would effectively be frozen. I'll find management companies to take care of his properties, and the money will go back into the estate for his care. I'm not selling anything, I'm not buying anything, and I'm going to follow our dad's wishes to the letter. When our dad passes, we'll divide up the estate according to his will. Everyone was happy with that. In my dad's will, he left my brother some property. My brother is now asking me to use my power of attorney to sell the property our father left to him and transfer the money to him now. He needs it to keep his business running while he bids for a big contract he says he can win, and that will allow him to keep the business running long term. He says the property will eventually go to him and he's going to sell it, so the end result is the same, it's just a timing issue. I refused, and reminded him that I promised everyone I wasn't going to sell anything or make any changes, and I'm not making any exceptions. He gets upset and calls me an a-hole for holding up his inheritance, and an even bigger a-hole because I will be screwing over all the people who work for him. But my dad is still alive. He's not dead, and I'm just not willing to go through his pockets while he's still breathing. My other brother agrees with me while my sister agrees with my brother. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Your father is alive. There is no inheritance. Dementia care can be expensive. Your father's assets need to be used to support him while he lives. Distributing the estate early is stealing from your father. In many jurisdictions, a power of attorney has a legal obligation to act in the best interest of the person he is power of attorney of. Removing property from the estate to no benefit would not be in the father's best interest and would therefore be a criminal act. You would be personally liable for the property, not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for changing my wife's book room into the kids' room? I, 35M, have been married to me wife, 32F, Ella, for 10 years. We have 2 kids, 4M and 7F. About 5 years ago our house was finally built. Ella was the one who actually designed our house. We have a loft area above our living room that Ella said was going to be a kids' area. Out of sight, out of mind, she said, for the kids' toys. Ella also suffers from depression, and a lot of the house projects she hoped would be done by now aren't. Personally, I think she's too hard on herself, and I do help as much as I can, but I also work 60 to 70 hours a week. Ella has been using the loft area as a reading area. Honestly, I'm not too sure how much she uses it. I know she read a bit, but mostly when I see her read it's in bed. Ella has been hard on herself lately, because the kids' toys are scattered everywhere, so I decided while she was out to have the kids take everything up into the loft area and put all her stuff into her gaming room. We both have our own separate gaming rooms. The kids love this area, and in the time they've been playing up there I have seen no toys. Ella came home and started crying, saying that was her safe heaven area away from everyone, and has been really short with me. She claims that she goes up there every day and now she can't just take it away from the kids. I told her she can make her gaming room into a reading room, but she states the kids go in there and it's not the same. I told her she was overreacting, and this is exactly what she wanted this area for, so am I the a-hole? TLDR, wife designed house for the kids to have an area in loft, then got made when I made the area a loft area. Edit, I can't believe I have to say this, but obviously my wife is not neglecting our children by giving herself time to do her activities. As for our 4-year-old, our neighbor watches him about 2 to 5 hours a day. We pay them, so my wife can bake for her business and just to whatever she wants. Final edit, I hear you all, I should have 100% communicated with her. I also found out she hasn't used her gaming room in months, so I took away her favorite spot of the house. So we will be moving the kids' stuff into her old gaming room, and I will be making a shelf so she can organize all her books up there. Top comments. Info. Does your wife work and is your youngest in school? What's the childcare split like? Also, did you discuss moving your wife's stuff before you did it? Edit, based off Opie's reply, I'm going to go with you are the a-hole. Sounds like Opie's wife works, handles organizing the household, and is expected to do the majority of the DIY as she designed the house. This is on top of suffering from depression. It also doesn't appear that Opie discussed moving his wife's things into her gaming room before doing it. This sounds like straw that broke the camel's back, especially as Opie works 60 to 70 hours a week, so wouldn't be home to know how much she uses the room. Opie, please communicate with your wife. It sounds like she needs help for her depression as well as the mental load she takes on for the family. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.